Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Bakaha, Kadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen that look like those heathen. This is not a black thing. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And I got this guy, or I don't know if it's a guy or girl, whoever it is, but the individuals made a comment on a video that I did. Let me pull up that video. And I went into the meanings and the words of swarthy, and he used the revised. The person's name is I'd rather be a Phil than a Justin. So, you know, they would rather be a Phil than a Justin. So they don't like the name Phil. They rather have the name. They don't like the name Justin. They rather their name be Phil. So, whatever. But this person wasn't rude or anything like that. But they just came with an argument that's not really an argument. It's really a cop-out, if you ask me. But this is what he said. It said, swarthy is a figurative term that is used to describe white people with darker features below the passage of a journal in 1745 verified, and that is completely false. That is a revised, that's a lie, you know. And it says, if we proceed from the swarthiest white person to the palest Egyptian, from hence to the fairest musty, mulatto, or Moor, to the darkest Indian. So right then and there, when it said, how can you put, how could a white person be swarthy and be a mulatto and a Moor and the darkest Indian? All right, which can be a chocolate or tawny. And see that, you know, that word tawny being a strong defense against this argument, because tawny and swarthy both were talking about dark complected people. As a matter of fact, if we go to the Etymology online, and before I do that, let me give you the name of the video. It was called Black is an Extremely Hateful, Purposely Used. Black is extremely hateful, purposely used to replace the word swarthy in referencing complexion. All right. And that's on the Critical Race Historical Facts channel. So this person was trying to give a rebuttal to the definition of swarthy, when there's just too many different words and synonyms to go with it to prove that this person is wrong, and that just like everything else, you know, Esau is in control of the history, in control of the books, in control of the information, and they revised and changed a lot of meanings of words and things of that nature. You know, Orson Welles talked about that in the 1984 book. All right, but let's go to the Etymology online and look up the word tawny. Birds are coming to visit me. And let's get it. All right, and it says tawny, adjective, tan colored, especially brown with dark or dull yellowish orange. So that's kind of my complexion. And in Ben Franklin's letter, he talked about the people of the Americas and the people of Europe being dusky, swarthy, and tawny, except those except the Saxons. And he mentioned the Swedes and the Germans, you know, and this guy's trying to discredit that and change that as if Ben Franklin means something else. No, swarthy, you can't be a Moor or a dark Indian and still you look like a so-called white person. You see the confusion being created here? And that's Esau Edom, always trying to change, you know, information. But let me go back to that I didn't mean to click off of it. Let's go back to the Etymology online. tawny. And when you go down, guess what it gives you? Dark colored tawny. Now I just told you up here, it said reddish brown. You know how they call you that's what they used to call Malcolm X. All right, red. And a lot of so-called Negroes get called red because they have them red hues and that brownish skin. These are all the adjectives that are coming up. Rufus. All right. Tans, dark colored tawny, especially if you're referencing skin. Remember, I read a book and it was talking about the dark hordes of Scotland, and in the book, The Negro Question, it talks about what's his name? Charles II being nicknamed Black Boy. Charles II was the grandson of King James. All right, so I don't know of any white guys who are nicknamed Black Boy. So this guy is completely trying to get around the evidence, just like you have all the evidence about the Dark Ages and the medieval time. But they choose to ignore that and just push Renaissance art, and that's what what this guy's going with is with the Renaissance definition. So let's get a couple scriptures. All right. And the first one being Proverbs 24. And it says, fret not thyself because of the evil man, neither be thou envious at the wicked, for there shall be no reward to the evil man. The candle of the wicked shall be put out. My son, fear Yahweh and the king, and meddle not with them that are given into change. You see, that's what anytime the evidence in history and factual information comes out that disagrees with the false narratives that have been pushed, this is what they do. That's why you have books, and you'll get to the revised version, and they'll say that that's a correction. No, that is them trying to hide and cover up history, especially the history of the Dark Ages and the medieval times. All right. Let's shoot down to second answer. Oh, I'll give you another example. Not second answer. Let's go to Jeremiah 14:2, and referencing what the King James Bible said about the physical presence of the Jews of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Because you got to remember that that word, there was no letter J when all this was written. So that's a new word, given a new meaning. And that term would actually be referring only to Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Mainly actually to the tribe of Judah. You cannot put that label upon the other tribes. The whole Jewish thing. All right, you can't do that. You can't call the Levites. You can't call the Benjamites. You can't call the Zebulonites, or the Issacharites, or the Gadites. You can't call them Jews. They're not. They're Gadites. They're still Israel, though. All right. So that's another one of those things that we're talking about here. The changing of the meaning of words that happened over the centuries, and then how people, they just aren't privy to the truth about it. But here, this is Jeremiah 14:2, and it reads, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground. The cry of Jerusalem is gone up. So it's giving you a physical description of them. I'm looking at soil right now. The soil is different shades of brown. And that's what it's talking about. And then anyone wants to argue that point, when you look that word up, you got to remember the Old Testament was written in Hebrew. So was the New Testament before it got put into the Greek. All right. But when you go into that word in the Hebrew, that word there is kadar. All right. And kadar literally means dark skin. So we're going back to that swarthy. And so that was the whole argument, how they replaced the word black with swarthy. And the argument about there's no such thing as black people, that's a very negative social construct that was created for control and basically to support superiority. As simple as that. That they swapped the words out, because swarthy simply is talking about, remember, tawny, from a dark chocolate to a light brown. Okay, and Ben Franklin wrote about that in that letter, Observations of Increasing Mankind in 1751. The same verbiage that he was using. All right, and when you look up the word black, it means dirty and ugly and nasty, and and all these negative things. And so they placed that upon a people. All right, so now you have this social construct of black people. All right, so basically you're calling them dirty and ugly and nasty and untrustworthy, and you look the word up for yourself. Immoral, dangerous, all those words are connected to that word, but not to the word swarthy. When swarthy was simply talking about someone who had chocolate brown to light brown skin. So they matter of fact, I spoke about that show. And they pulled it. And matter of fact, he got fired after he did that role too. He wasn't on the show when it came out in the next season. But Orlando Jones, when he played, I forget the name of the god that he played. The god, when he visited the slaves on the slave ship, all right, and he told them, "Oh, y'all don't know y'all black." He said, "You don't know it yet, but y'all are now black." So proving the point that they weren't called that before that. They weren't being referred to as that. He used the verbiage when these Dutch motherfuckers decided that y'all was black and they was white. So the whole black and white thing, those are made up social constructs. That's the whole argument. Because the fact is there's no such thing as a black person or a white person. White people, their skin is not white. All right, they're actually kind of red. Because their blood shows forth through their skin. And who they call black people. I've seen people in India that's darker than most black people. All right, than a lot of them. Hispanics, different. So color has nothing to do with anything. Like I said, that was a social construct used to deceive, and it was a very wicked and ingenious invention. And people just can't seem to get over it or get by it. Get stuck on this color thing. All right, because the Lord didn't create colors. He created people. All right? People created colors and the constructs that go along with them. Okay? And that's what this guy, I'd rather be a Phil than a Justin. Well, he's one of those people that doesn't like you. He wants to continue to control the narrative, and the narrative is false. He's having a hard time with that because I read Jeremiah 14:2. But when you get to a lot of the newer versions, of the Bible, when you read Jeremiah 14:2, the description of them being black, which is a word they put there in English, well, we know the Hebrew word is kadar, meaning dark skin, and all the newer versions that's removed, and many other scriptures describing the physical characteristics of them. Lamentations 4:8 is another one. All right. And some of them, it says their skin becomes black, as if now it's a curse to be that way. As if it wasn't that color, they weren't dark skinned all to begin with. So all this just comes down to racism and hate, and then the fact that we're living in a day and age where all the evidence is just coming out. You can't hide anything anymore. All those books, hell, I got books going all the way back to the 14th century in my library. So you got the receipts that are there. All right, and then you have the internet. You can't get around this stuff. You just can't say stuff and then just run with it like that's what it is, as if people actually not going to go look things up and learn about it. Let's read 2nd Ezra. Hence, as a matter of fact, I'm going to 2nd Ezra. Why do you think they removed the book of Ezra? They removed the Apocrypha. And knowing that the book of the Apocrypha means to be sent away hidden. That's what it literally means. That's the meaning of the word. So it's like the Lord knew. Why? Because the Apocrypha destroys a lot of the false beliefs that have been taught by modern day Christianity. A lot of the things that they believe in, the Apocrypha just completely destroys the whole mistake about virgin, what a virgin is, how there's two different virgins. They don't explain that in Christianity. That one word for virgin, one meaning of virgin is an untouched woman, and the other one means a young maiden. Meaning that, so if you had a untouched woman and a young maiden who already had children sitting at the same table, they're both still virgins, and they don't explain that. You know, pushing that virgin birth, but not explaining the fact that the Bible gives you the bloodline of the Lord from father to father to father, but yet the churches push this whole immaculate conception thing. And when you look the word immaculate up, it's not found in the Bible. Once again, a social construct created to prove a point, because then that's the problem, because if you give him a seed line, that changes the meaning of everything. It changes everything. Everything changes now. Because now that connects them to a people who are actually connected to the Lord and not just anybody who believes. And then that also, what do the Jewish do? They go by their mother. A woman doesn't determine the nationality of a human being. The seed of the man does. All this mix this, and there's no such thing as mix. When people tell me they mix, the first thing I ask them is, what is your father? Because that's the seed you came from. That seed was already established. It's already a bloodline, a people, a race, etc. All right, you can look like your mother. You can embrace your mother's culture, but if it's not the same as your father, regardless of whether you like it or not, you are what your father is. Point blank, period. And there is no argument. All right, but let's get this second Ezra, and I'm gonna close this out. It's second Ezra 6 and 27, 28, and it reads, "For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which have been so long without fruit shall be declared." So there's been no truth in the world for hundreds of years now. And now it's coming out. People don't like it. Especially Westerners. Westerners do not accept truth very well at all. All right? So with that, Shalom and a Baba Ball.